Hello, I'm Neil Quigley and welcome to the latest episode of my Blogcast. Hope you're well and good and you've had a good couple of weeks. Mine, as ever, have been relatively busy. I went to a comedy night at the Town Hall in Hemel Hempstead last Saturday night. It was really good. It's the first time I'd actually been to that venue. My girlfriend and I had been looking at a few things we'd seen advertised at the venue recently. What we discovered was a lot of really decent comedians were using it to do warm-up gigs, and some other comedians were just using it as part of their UK tours. So we've been keeping an eye on it for a while. There's a couple of things we tried to get tickets to and didn't quite manage it. And there were a couple of other gigs that we wanted to go to, but we weren't available when they were on. Anyway, finally, we managed to make everything align, so we got to go along there. It's in the Old Town part of Hemel Hempstead, which is quite a nice area actually. There's some nice restaurants, there's some pubs around there, and the Town Hall is more or less right in the centre of the one road really that makes up the Old Town part. It's got a decent sized car park just around the corner, which is ideal. It's very easy to find, and it had a really nice friendly vibe to the place. We went up there, all the staff, who I presume are volunteers, were really friendly and really helpful. It's got a nice little bar, snack area where you can get drinks and snacks before and at the interval of whatever you're going to see. Now, as it happens, we'd been out to dinner before we were going along to the comedy night at the Town Hall. We've been to Prezzo because it's on my celiac accredited list, so I feel comfortable eating there. And it was very busy, so the service took a bit longer than normal. So long story short, I am normally a three-course man. Love a starter, love a main, always generally finish a meal out with a dessert. Sadly, we're a bit tight for time to get to the comedy night, so I didn't have time to have my dessert in the restaurant. And I kind of figured that was probably my chance gone. As luck would have it, when we got to the Town Hall drink and snack bar, I spotted on the counter several gluten-free snacks they had available. And I was really pleased about that, so chose one and selected it straight away to buy with the drinks. And as I was talking to the guy serving, I just complimented them, basically saying, "Oh, it's great you've got so much gluten-free stuff. I'm a celiac, it's really handy. I didn't think I'd get anything." Anyway, it turns out the partner of the person who basically runs that part of the Town Hall is celiac. Therefore, for them and for everybody else, they make sure they've got lots of gluten-free stuff in. So that's another tick in the box and a good reason to go back and see more stuff at this venue. The performance area itself is really nice, really simple. It reminded me of a theatre I used to go to in Aylesbury, where I was born and spent a lot of my teenage years, called the Limelight Theatre. The stage area is the floor level, and then the seating banks upwards away from it, which gives you a pretty much perfect view no matter where you sit. And I think those sort of places are absolutely perfect for comedy. They really lend themselves to that. The person we went to see was Isham Akbar. I've seen him on a few things. He's been on some panel shows, including Mock the Week and various other things. And also he has been on Live at the Apollo as well. So I was semi-familiar with his work, but I'd never seen one of his own stand-up shows. So he was doing his 1 hour Pretender tour, which he's been touring across the whole of the UK. It's actually coming towards the end of his tour. I think he's got about another 5 dates left, and that's pretty much it. His support act was Preet Singh, who came on and did about 20-25 minutes first of all. He was really good, very funny. They'd done well. As it turned out, the night before, they'd both been performing at the Leicester Square Theatre in London, where a recording was being made of the tour to basically sell that as his special. It went really well, and to cut a long story short, they had a bit of an after party, which went on until the early hours of the morning. So fair play. I know the gig we were watching wasn't till the next night, but they did say they felt a bit rough, but you couldn't tell. I thought they did a great job. Preet was fantastic, well worth looking out for if you get the chance to see him. Then we had a bit of an interval, and you can there, as with most theatre-type venues, pre-order the interval drink. So we did that, and that was all fine. So we went and had those. And then obviously back to our seat to see the main event, the main reason we went to see Isham do his set. And it was predictably fantastic, very funny, very clever. And obviously, comedians, the whole point to a degree is you find your unique selling point, your angle on the world, your place, I guess, in the comedy circuit. And that, of course, is kind of shaped by your upbringing, who you are, your sense of humour, a combination of those. It is fair to say no one really could have done the same show that he did because of what he's been through, where he grew up, and his previous occupations. Clearly a very clever guy. You can tell that from his comedy, but also the fact that his previous jobs included a banker who was, I believe, at a level where he was giving financial advice to a lot of well-known high-profile celebrities. And also he was a speechwriter for the government at one point, not to mention a journalist who used to write for national newspapers. So he's across pretty much everything. But the important thing was it was a really funny, clever show, brilliantly done. And you've got different comedians, as I said, with different styles. I've seen Frankie Boyle do a warm-up gig in a small room. Now, I love Frankie Boyle. I think he's very funny. Yes, he is near the mark, sometimes way over the mark, but you know what you're going to get with him, and he doesn't disappoint. Ishan is obviously a more, shall we say, genteel performer, more warm, more friendly, although not afraid to banter with the audience and definitely challenge, I think, opinions sometimes of some of the people who he'll find in his audiences, I think. Not in a bad way, just in a fun way, searching for a laugh, which is the aim of the game, really, isn't it? It was fantastic. Had a great night. I thought he was brilliant, and the support act as well. We'd definitely go and see him again. We'd definitely go and see something at the town hall again. They've got a lot of great comedians coming through there, so it's definitely one we'll be keeping an eye on. And also as well, it's local. Therefore, if there are train strikes or you just fancy avoiding London for a weekend, from our point of view, it's a fantastic option. I am a massive Star Wars fan. I have been ever since I was a kid, ever since I can remember. As the films came out, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and The Return of the Jedi, I watched them all. When I was about 7, I got a second-hand big box of Star Wars toys, which was brilliant. Honestly, it had pretty much a figure of everyone you can imagine from all of the films. I'm not joking. Several different Luke Skywalkers and his different guises. The same with Han Solo. The same with Princess Leia. I had a Chewbacca. I had a Jabba the Hutt and his throne. I also had the Millennium Falcon and various other ships. I had all this Star Wars stuff, and it got played with a lot. I absolutely loved it. About 6 or 7 years ago, maybe slightly longer now, I decided to sell all my Star Wars stuff. It was just in a box in the loft. I wasn't really using it. So I sold it at a car boot sale for, I think actually, as it turned out, probably a bit less than it was worth. It wasn't pristine. I had played with it all, but I had a lot of good and several rare figures. I managed to sell it about 3 years before they made the final 3 main Star Wars films, when they brought back the original characters and cast to complete the story. I have a feeling if I'd have kept hold of those figures, they would have definitely been worth a bit more once that film had come out. Now, I've kind of bookended Star Wars. Obviously, there were the 3 films in the middle, if you like, which were the prequels to the original Star Wars. Yes, I watched all of them, did enjoy all of them, but they weren't quite the same. They didn't have the old humour, the style of the originals. And I think the 3 remaining films they made really recaptured that. So I loved them. And I went and saw each of the 3 latest ones on my own in the cinema on the day of release. Now, my experience of seeing the 3 original Star Wars films when I was young were all at home on video. A couple of years ago, when we were in the midst of lockdown and outdoor cinema was the thing, my girlfriend and I went along to see Star Wars on the big screen at one of the drive-in movies, which was great. This year, they're celebrating the 40th anniversary of the release of Return of the Jedi, and as part of the celebrations, it's back in some cinemas for a limited run. Now, I must confess, I wasn't really aware of this. It kind of had passed me by slightly. And then we were out the other Saturday, and my girlfriend was, looking to see a new film at the cinema that she quite fancied seeing. That's when she spotted Return of the Jedi was on, and she very kindly and generously offered to come with me and go and see it. So we booked ourselves in to a 10 a.m. showing on Sunday morning, got up especially early to get out to the cinema and watch Return of the Jedi. And I must say, I absolutely loved it. I don't think I stopped smiling all the way through the film. It was just brilliant. I'd forgotten how funny the Ewoks were, for starters. They are brilliant. And there's so many great moments and great lines in that film. It's just brilliant. I do completely love it. It ties off the original 3 films, which were a massive part of my childhood. One thing I'd slightly misremembered, though, I'm a big fan of Family Guy as well. And Family Guy did a parody of each of the Star Wars films. There's a bit in the actual film that I honestly thought Family Guy had invented. I thought it was made up for the Family Guy parody. It isn't. It's word for word actually in The Return of the Jedi. And it's the bit where he wants him to fly close but not too close, and does utter the words, just fly casual. It was brilliant. The only slight disappointment, looking on Facebook, I saw a friend of mine had been there with his son, and the night he went to the same cinema that we were, they had people dressed up as stormtroopers outside, and they got their photo with the stormtroopers. Now, I know I'm too old really to appreciate this, but I would have loved to have my photo taken with the stormtroopers. That would have really topped it off, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And that now does, of course, mean, I know I've watched them slightly out of sequence, but the one remaining film that I've not seen at the cinema out of the whole Star Wars trilogy now is The Empire Strikes Back. So as soon as that goes into a cinema, I'm there, got to watch it. And obviously, for not only pointing it out, agreeing to go and buying the tickets, my girlfriend Linda gets some very big girlfriend points for the Star Wars work there. And she also managed to spring it on me as a bit of a surprise, which meant this time, unlike when we saw Star Wars at the drive-in, I didn't have my Star Wars t-shirt on and I didn't bring my lightsaber with me, which is probably no bad thing on reflection. I mean, I am now a man in his 40s. It is the coronation of King Charles III this weekend. I know there's mixed views about the monarchy and indeed King Charles himself. I was a massive admirer, fan of the Queen. I thought she was fantastic in pretty much everything she did, the way she conducted herself, the things she said, and just her outlook and philosophy on life. I will support King Charles. I think personally the royals do a lot for our national identity. They bring in a lot of tourists. I like the fact we still get the traditional pageantry and everything that goes with that. It does give us something, I think, and it's a nice nod to the past. And I think, for me, it still kind of works and I kind of like it. Sadly, I didn't get a chance to watch the coronation this weekend because, weirdly, the Premier League seemed not to be that bothered about it, in that Tottenham were playing at home on the Saturday and I need to travel there during the time that it's on so I can get to the game on time. Therefore, will not be able to watch the coronation. I will, though, definitely watch the highlights at some point. I'm sure it'll go well. Kind of to celebrate and kind of just a complete coincidence. The Saturday evening after the coronation, I'm supposed to be going to a family party at my cousin's place, a get-together there. So that will be fun and nice to see them. I haven't seen them for a while. And in a way, it seems an apt thing to do, be around family on that day. Have you been watching the new version of I'm a Celebrity, the kind of South Africa version where people have been in before have kind of agreed to go back in again, either because I guess they've got a tax bill coming up or because they want to promote something they're involved in. That's generally the reasons. Or maybe, I guess, it could be the case that some of them do just like a venture. I'm a massive fan of the annual lead up to Christmas I'm a Celebrity, mainly when it's in Australia, but I really enjoyed it when they did it in Wales as well. However, I've not really taken to this South African one. It just all seems a bit not quite right. The fact it's already been recorded, so everything that's going to happen has already happened, which kind of takes away some of the day-to-day jeopardy you normally get in the actual one, where things can happen during the day and you might get whispers and then have to watch the show to find out. This one's already happened. And also as well, part of the fun for me It's kind of getting an insight and getting to know the campmates, the real them, for the first time they're in with the cameras on. They're getting used to just chatting to each other. Obviously, all this lot have been through that before. So I've seen them do that, therefore already know a lot about them. And also, they've been through the process. So they've actually seen how the edit comes out. They know what it looks like when they've been in. Therefore, they'll be a bit wiser and a bit smarter about what they say and what they do, which takes away some of the excitement. I thought I'd like it. It's still got Anton Deck on it, who I think are the best presenters on TV and are fantastic at I'm a Celebrity. It just plays into their strengths with the way they can take the mickey, do some skits and mess about. It's still, of course, got that, but I just haven't really got into this series of it. And I'm just looking forward to the actual main one in Australia. I will watch the whole of that one, but I think I've watched maybe half an episode of the South African one. It was okay, but it's not quite grabbed me like the other one does. I have mentioned before that I have shares in a couple of horses through Owners Group. Tomorrow, I am looking forward to going to a stable tour at Paul Nicholls' stables. He is the trainer of my best horse at the moment, Stage Star, who managed to win at the Cheltenham Festival, which was fantastic. He did run during the Aintree Festival, but it was just kind of a race too far for this season. But he's had a great season. So my girlfriend and I are getting up early again on a Sunday to drive down to Somerset to go and have a look round Paul Nicholls' place and see Stage Star and a few of his other very famous horses that he has there, that he trains there. So that should be good fun. I'll tell you more about that next time we speak. The football season is nearly over, which I'm quite thankful for at the moment. It hasn't been the best season for Tottenham Hotspur. There's so many ups and downs, and again, in the last week or so, more downs than ups. But you can say one thing for sure, it's never dull supporting Tottenham Hotspur and watching us play. And there's generally always lots of goals in our games. Sadly, most of them at the moment seem to be against us. But, makes for great entertainment. That is nearly it. Just the usual reminder that you can listen to my radio show between 2 and 4 Saturday afternoons at radio9springs.com. That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Take care, look after yourselves and each other, and I'll speak to you again soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.